and it's Saturday once again, and that can only mean one thing. It's another episode of the All For Back podcast. This is episode 90, a massive milestone for us to reach. We are nearly into the 100s now. So let's get into the show. We are without Chester this week. We had prior arranged engagement, but he'll be returning next week. So there is just the three of us this week. So it's a good evening to Hads.
Good evening, Tank.
And it's a good evening to Shads.
Hello there, how are you doing?
All good. This past week has results that we expected, but also a result that perhaps came out of the blue to some, and we'll get into that in more detail as we go along. Coming up on tonight's show, the Week 20 League reviews. We shall have the league table after the Week 20 fixtures, then we shall have Shad's Rider of the Week. Then we shall be having the draws for the BGP and the SCS Round 7 at Melbourne, as well as the wildcard announcement. Then the Neil Potter Shield rules and information that will be coming up at the beginning of February. So find out all the information the captains and the teams will need going into that. We also have a very late in the season signing from the Wolves, as they've now made a signing, and then we shall preview Week 21 League previews. So, we start our first of three reviews, of which all of them actually took place on Monday the 12th. And the first one was Hastings Dragons versus the Milton Keynes Cowboys at 8 PM. And it was a very comfortable win for the Dragons, as we've come to expect this season at home in particular, and they wasn't under any real threat of losing the meeting, and it went in the direction that was predicted. Worryingly, they was out of sight by Heat 5, realistically, and the Cowboys never landed a heat advantage all meeting, which I believe that is a first for this season. Dragons team was without their number one, Stephen 101, whilst Cowboys were without Ben Thompson and Craig for this fixture. Squall opting to use pride replacement for 101, and Bobby opting to use two guests, a league guest in Alan McNally from Spartans, who had a busy night, and a returning Lango from the pool. Ads, give us your thoughts on this fixture. Was it as you predicted it would go?
Yes, but not. I think it was a bit more than what I predicted, to be honest. I don't think anyone has predicted 7-5-1s in the first 8 races, to be honest. But looking at the Cowboys team, they're just out of form as well. It doesn't help them when you're struggling, not having your full team and people, as you say, not on form. I mean, Fakey is totally different to what he is in the GPs. Fair play to Alan, who answered the late call to Void as a guest as well, and good to see Lango back in some form. But the Dragons, I don't think they're ever gonna lose their home record against the Cowboys. Unfortunately, we're still without a win. It is the biggest win of the season as well, I believe, in the league. So that is another note for the Dragons. But you look at the bonus points as well. I mean, 13 bonus points for the Dragons team, Riders, compared to 1 for the Cowboys. I mean, I think that tells you the whole story, to be pretty honest. Stephen 101 must have Hastings itis. Doesn't seem to ride at home. And then Wolfie has away itis. So I don't think anybody's seen him in the same room this year, have they? But apart from that, I think Squall's got it spot on again for the Dragons. So fair play to them. Another massive home win, and keeps the pressure going on to the last round of fixtures.
Yeah, I think it does. Like you said, there was a total of 9 5-1s, 2 4-2s in favour of Dragons, and there was 5 shared heats, and 5 of the 9 5-1s came in the first 5 heats, which obviously gave the Dragons the win pretty early on this meeting. But this win sets up an interesting final week for the title race. And if Cowboys are to get any more points this season and not finish on 1 point, they'll need to have their best meeting of the season at home to Wolves, who are building in confidence lately. We move on to our second meeting of this week. This one's tapes up was at 8:30 p.m. and it was the Wolverhampton Wolves versus the Ellesmere Port Panthers in a meeting where both teams had a lot at stake. A win would all but guarantee a spot in the Neil Potters Shield and end Wolves' resurgence, but a win for the home team would see Wolves close the gap to be level on points and be one win away from making the Neil Potters Shield. It would turn out to be a win for the Wolves team, who was operating right replacement for the absent Limo at number 1, whilst the Panthers was at full strength, but it was Wolves who got the better over the course of the meeting, running out 59-37 winners and taking all 3 points. The meeting saw a slightly comfortable scoreline throughout, aided by some unfortunate from the Panthers team, where it didn't click on the night, but taking nothing away from Wolves, who was there to take advantage. Chads, you've had a close look at this meeting. What was your takeaways from this encounter between the two sides?
Yeah, a pretty convincing win for Wolves, which I admit I didn't see coming. I thought the Panthers would have just nicked this. I think I put them for a win on my predictions league, or at least keep the scores close. But Wolves were on fire. There's some basic errors from the Panthers, especially on the fourth bend, where some of the Panthers came unstuck with that dive in. I think only Skyrider was going wide on that bend consistently. The rest of them were just diving in, and some of the time were just going into the grass. Great scoring all round from the home side, except for Hobnob, unfortunately, who had a disappointing night. He's been well below his best all season, to be honest. Great to see Super Dip back in the points again after a disappointing season by his standards. I know he's been struggling with off track issues of late, so it's pleasing to see him back to something like his best. Also unknown, seems to have dialed himself into the track now. I think he had a sticky couple of meetings there at the start. Wasn't getting on with the track, but he looked a lot better. Looked a lot better this week. Very good support as well from Bewitcher and from JC. The Panthers, though, well, I must be disappointed with that result. Marecki unusually struggling when he's been their saviour all season. And good scores from Tank and Cappy, but Capesy, wow, he had a nightmare in the middle order. Well off the pace all night and didn't score a point. An entertaining watch, I thought, with passing in almost every race. Wolves overall looked more aggressive, I thought, on the third and fourth bend, going inside on that inside line, which is where most of the passing took place on the night. Both sides level on points going into the final week of league fixtures, like you said, Tank, with just 2 race points separating them. I'd say Wolves were in the box seat for the final Neil Potter's Shield spot, which to me looks on paper the easier of the fixtures.
I think it's safe to say that I think you won't mind me saying that Skyrider was probably the only rider for the Panthers on the night that wasn't comfortable with the inside. He could make it work sometimes, but he wasn't comfortable on it, so he was using the outside on bends 3 and 4, and he got some joy out of it in practice and in the meeting. Probably didn't work quite as well, but I think had he stuck to the inside like we was doing, and typically that's the line, he might not score what he did in some ways. So I have to agree with you. I think maybe that my ride on the night, if I was to look at it from a neutral point of view, and that would be Super Dip. Obviously, had a bit going on lately, and finally found some form at the right time for Wolves. Unfortunate for the Panthers. The added bonus was it was his birthday this week, so that was an added sweetener for himself. And obviously, a rider that would wanted a better meeting was, as you said, was Capesy. He was very frustrated with himself during the meeting. He felt like he let the team down, but it's just one of them, really. To score an Audi, or should that be the Olympic rings? But in all seriousness, Copesy was unlucky on some of the races, and it wasn't for the want of trying, really. Personally, myself, I had a better meeting hitting double figures. I hadn't actually noticed what I'd scored until the next day when I was editing the meeting highlights for the YouTube. So yeah, I was a bit surprised. But so yeah, that meeting sets things up nicely for a showdown between Bulls and the Panthers to who will get the final Neil Potter Shield spot. With Wolves being away and Panthers at home next week, you say the advantage is with Wolves realistically, but as we've always seen, anything can happen, so we see what shall happen. Our final review of the week was between first place and third place, as Peterborough Spartans took on Kings Lynn Storm, and this saw a win for the Spartans, who have been unbeaten at home in the league and the Knockout Cup. Spartans was led, as always, by Stefan, as is customary these days, leads by example and stacks the points up. But he did slip up in his final race in Heat 16, being beaten by an opposition rider for the third time this season at home, but only by 2 riders. The first time was by myself in the league, and then again by TJ Griffiths in the Knockout Cup, and finally this week again by TJ in the league. Stefan was backed up by Ads MFT, who scored 13+2 from his 6 rides, but it was a solid performance from the Spartans all round. However, Storm, they was led by their number 1 in TJ Griffiths, who looked good all night and returned double figures as the only rider in Storm to do so, but was poorly backed up by the rest of the team. There was unlucky moments for Storm, not for the want of trying, just Spartans getting the rub of the green, which happens when good fortune is on your side. Just like Dragons versus Cowboys, there was no heat advantages for Storm or meeting. As Hads and Shaz was in the meeting, I'll get both your thoughts on the meeting. I'll come to you first, Hads. You scored 9+1 points from 5 rides. Are you pleased with how you rode and the points you scored?
Yeah, definitely. No last places again, so that's always pleasing, especially at home. To get that good, just to get that heat advantage in the first one. It was a good battle with Amber Mouse. That's a good strong pairing as well for TJ and Amber to have in the first race. So it was pleasing to get a heat advantage in that one, and then a couple of 5-1s with DL. He did a lot of the work, especially in the second one when he blocked off Race of Ryan on that inside, and then it blocked him off on the back straight, and I just got clear. Yeah, the next one I think it was the 3-3. I think that was a good race. TJ won that one. He did really well, and the last one had a really good battle with Ryan, and he used the inside on me this time, and I couldn't. He nailed it, to be fair, and when you nail that line, it's difficult to pass coming into the third bend. So yeah, that was pretty pleasing night. Two heat wins and paid 10 points again, so pretty solid. But I think overall the team, especially Alan, who was on double duty, 7+1, that's his best score of the season. So hats off to him. He deserves a mention, I think. But the whole team, I think, again, everybody just a solid home team performance, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I know Alan done well to go from the square of Hastings to his home track, and that in the space of an hour. Hats off to him, because it's never easy to do 2 meetings in one night. It's always been muted, but very rarely do you see it these days. Now, Shad, you didn't have the best of meetings yourself, scoring just 3+1 from your 5 rides. On watching the races back, you didn't really ride bad. You were just unlucky not to score more in some races, but also you was running the meeting as contingency referee due to all meetings being on one night and no available neutral referees. Did this impact your racing focus and how many points you'd score on the night?
I can't really use that as an excuse, Hank. I'd say as a ritual before every race, not before the race, but during the previous races, I do a couple of practice starts. I don't do a full 4 laps. I just like to get my practices right. And obviously, I think I only gated once, and that was when I was racing against Stefan, and only took him a lap to get past me. It's nothing that I didn't expect on the night. It's remarkable, really, how well the Spartans ride this track. And with the confidence that they have this season, it's always going to be a struggle for us. We gave it a go though, but we were well beaten on the night by the superior side. The racing was a lot closer than the score suggests. I think they were just more decisive on the first lap, and once they get ahead of you, it's almost impossible to catch them. They just don't make mistakes here. It's just remarkable. I mean, there were a few instances where we were in heat in positions, but threw away points with careless riding. I'm gonna give you one instance. There was heat 9 with TJ and Westy against Ads and Alan McNally. I mean, TJ and Westy were on a 5-1 after a lap. Ads had a sticky key on the first bend and came out the fence about half a lap behind. And then Alan McNally fenced himself. With us on a near certain 5-1, Westy managed to put himself in the fence, which on the second bend, which allowed Alan and Ads to pass him for the shared heat. I'm not saying it would have made difference to the result, but it would have probably made it a little bit closer. A couple of other instances during the meeting, but that's just nitpicking. The Spartans deserved the win, no doubt, but the scoreline, I said, doesn't reflect the effort we put in. Fair play, and big thanks to Hutty, though, who only stepped in to replace Method last minute, and he had to withdraw on the morning of the meeting. I made a couple of quick messages to, I think I'd messaged Chester, and he didn't want to ride. And then I thought I'd try Hutty, and he was immediately got back to me within a minute of me messaging him and said, yeah, he wants to ride. So thanks to him.
Yeah, Hutty's been very keen to ride, and at knowing when he was obviously allowed to. So that doesn't surprise me that he was itching. Obviously, you're in the Neil Potter Shield, and are you looking forward to a sort of a fresh start in this competition? Because essentially, whilst there's only 4 of the 6 league teams in it, everyone starts like the Knockout Cup for the final silverware of the season.
If it had asked me maybe 2 weeks ago, I'd have said I just want the season to end now. But I had my usual mid-season lull. I mean, as you know, there's been a few things going on at home with the wife not being well, and of course, it took my mind off the game a little bit. I wasn't probably not practicing as much as I should. Had things going on here, so it's difficult. But you know, I've got a bit my mojo back now. I did enjoy the other night, although we got a pasting. It was nice to be able to watch the racing as opposed to sitting in chat waiting for the results to come through. You know, as you know, I was refereeing, so I got in. I was watching every race, and Neil Shaw was serving. Yeah, it was great. I'm looking forward to the last round at Melbourne. Probably not looking forward so much to the Neil Potter Shield because I've got a sneaky suspicion that the Spartans are going to choose us, and that means another trip back to Peterborough. Not sure about the World Championship if I'm going to bother because it's going to be a bit of a waste of time really for me. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to the seeing what's going to come the next few weeks. I think it's inevitable that the Spartans are going to win the league, but it's just you never know with the Neil Potter Shield. Wolves a bit more resurgent now, having a good last couple of weeks, and Hastings ran them really close over 2 legs in the KO Cup. I think they go down by 4 points in the end or something. I can't remember, over 2 legs. But yeah, there's still plenty to race for. So yeah, looking forward to the last few weeks of the season.
With the Spartans' win, that now leaves them with a 2-point advantage over the Dragons going into the final week. Also in this meeting we had the silver helmet race, and it was a win for Stefan, who retained the silver helmet 2-0 against TJ Griffiths. And that will he retain it next week to keep it hostage for the off season? We will have to wait and see. We now have a look at the league table after this week's fixtures are complete, and we will look at it from the bottom to the top. Cowboys are unfortunately rock bottom in 6th place on 1 point, and with a last hurrah of the season with a win and get all 3 points against Wolves, could see them finish on a maximum of 4 points. In 5th place, currently on points difference by a slender 1 point behind, but level on points with 9 points after their win against the Panthers, is the Wolves, who go into the final week of fixtures knowing a win for them away of 4 points at Cowboys will confirm their place in the Neil Potter Shield. 4th place is Panthers, whilst level on points with Wolves, who all they can do is win the meeting, if at all possible, at home against the top of the table Spartans. It's a tough ask, but anything can happen on the night, but in terms of the Neil Potter Shield, it's not really in Panthers' hands, with Wolves able to get a maximum of 4 points for an away win. Moving on to 3rd place is Storm on 17 points. They are in no danger of losing 3rd place, but do race against 2nd place Dragons in the final week, so we'll be looking to add more points to finish strong before the Nil Field. 2nd place sees Dragons on 25 points, and with an away win at Storm will heap on pressure on the Spartans team, hoping for a slip up in the final week. And finally in 1st place is Spartans on 27 points, and it's simple for them. Don't slip up against Panthers and they will become league champions, so there's a couple of permutations still to play for yet. Now we have reached that point of the show where we find out who has won the coveted Chad's Rider of the Week award. It's hotly contested, with many begging Chads for it, so let's find out who has got it this week. So over to you, Chaz, take it away.
Thank you, Tank. Some terrific scores this week. Most of the Wolves side deserves a mention, and a special mention to Alan McNally, who rode in 2 meetings on the same night. It's a real throwback to the old double headers we used to have back in the day. Stefan again with another fantastic scores, dropping just 1 point and retaining the silver helmet. Wolfie dropping just 3 points in his 5 rides despite not winning a race and not won a race all season. Cam, David No Fear, Squall and Reese with some handy scores for the Dragons. But I'm sorry, but the level of the opposition prevents me from giving it to any of them this week. My Rider of the Week this week wins it for the 2nd time this season. He struggled for most of it and has had some personal issues, but came good when it mattered. I'm giving it to Super Dip.
Our next segment of the show is the BGP and the SCS lineup draws for round 7, and to talk us through it will be Hads. Over to you.
Yeah, we have round 7 of both series, starting with the GP at Melbourne, which is on Sunday week. So riding at number 1 in the BGP round 7 will be Dragons rider Badger Racing, who is an ever-present in this season's series, with a top score of 12 points at Northside. And joining him in heat number 1 will be Scotty B, who has unfortunately missed the last 2 rounds, and his top score is 7 points at Gislaved. And joining them in heat number 1 will be current 4th place rider Speedy, who has 3 semi-finals and 3 finals, and was 2nd last time out at Redcar. And number 4 is Tank, who actually won his first race of the series in the last round at Redcar. And on to number 5. We have Dragons Stephen 101 with his high scores of 11 points at both Polish tracks of Lesno and Gorzów. And joining him in Heat 2, it is Dragon Skipper, and that will be Squall, who is another ever-present in this season series, with his high score of 7 in 3 different rounds. And in at number 7 is Panthers rider Cappy, who has 2 semi-finals to his name, with his high score being in round 1. And making up heat number 2, that is the unattached Dreadlocker, whose high score was in round 1 of 14 points. And coming in at number 9 will be his former captain and teammate Fakey, now of the Cowboys, who has 3 semi-finals to his name and a high score of 12 in his home GP. Riding at number 10 will be Ads MFT of the Spartans, who has rode in 4 rounds this season, getting double figures in 3 of those. And in at number 11 will be current third place rider Cam of the Dragons, who won at Lejno and Gorzov so far this season. And making up heat number 4 is TJ Griffiths, a Dragons rider who missed a couple of rounds this season. And number 13 will be Racer Ryan, who won the round at Northside earlier on in the season with 17 points. And number 14 will be current leader Stefan, who has 3 round wins to his name this season and has a joint high score of 18 points. And number 15 will be Craig of the Cowboys, who has missed the last couple of rounds, and with his high score being in round 1, where he was 3rd. And completing the lineup is current second place rider Mareki of the Panthers, who has finished 3rd in the last 2 rounds and at Lesno earlier on in the season. So now we move over to the SCS, and the wild card for round 7 will be Captain Audi of the Cowboys, and the change for the upcoming round, David Nofia informed us that he wouldn't be around, and Tintin, who took his place in the last round, will again be coming in as a replacement. So the draw for the SCS final round of the season, again at Melbourne on Sunday week. And number 1 will be Tintin, who got 10 points last time out at a red car. Joining him in heat number 1 will be Storm Captain, and that is Westy Boy, who has top scored of 11 points at Lejno. Coming in at number 3 will be another captain. This time is Panthers captain Capesy, who is ever present in this season's series. And completing heat number 1 will be current third place rider Le Sorcier of the Spartans, who has 2 second place finishes to his name this season. riding at number 5 will be series referee. That is Ben Thompson. And joining him at number 6 will be Panthers rider Sky Rider, who top score was 16 points at Giz Lavid and actually made the first 4 finals of the season. In at number 7 will be Hobnob, who is another ever-present and has made 2 semi-finals with a high score of 10 points. Completing heat number 2 will be our very own awful back presenter, that is Shads, with his best score in round 1, where he finished in 3rd place and was also 3rd in the last round at Redcar. Number 9 will be 2-time semi-finalist this season, Alan McNally, who scored 9 points on both occasions. At number 10 will be the wild card, and that will be Captain Audi of the Cowboys. At number 11 will be Storm Rider Heppel, whose top score was 11 points at Gorshoff and has 2 semi-finals to his name. And completing the lineup for number 3 will be Cowboys captain, and that is Bobby, who has scored 46 points from the 3 rounds he's rode, winning at Redcar and Gislaved. So heat number, ride number 13 rather, will be myself. That was Hadlington 83. I have 2 finals so far this season and 2 semi-finals. Riding at number 14 will be current 2nd place rider, and that will be Reese O2, who won at Northside earlier this season with 15 points and has made 3 finals in total. And number 15 will be JC of the Wolves, who won round 1 at Strausland and has had 2 other finals with a high score of 18 at Redcar. And last but not least, again, his series leader, and that is Rico, whose 19 points at Gorshoff is a season high for both series, and which he also won and has 2 second places. And that concludes the draws for the final round of both BGP and SCS series.
Thank you very much. One of the things I saw there, the draw, was Tintin will be very pleased to know he's got 2 gate 1s. We know he loves his gate 1s. So
I was going to say, boys, that last 4, that'd be heat 4. You got 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 6th in the
I know.
standings.
I was hoping I'd be in heat 3.
I was going to say, because JC's gunning for that top 3, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's only 5 points off, and he's missed a round. I think Le Saucier and maybe Reese be panicking a little bit.
Yeah, definitely looking over the shoulder.
Yeah, it's very tight there, isn't it? Very tight. That I'd say top 6, pretty tight.
we'll get into each meeting in more detail in next week's show, but there's some tasty heats to look forward to. With the league season coming to a conclusion this week, the next team competition to finish the league campaign is the Neil Potter Shield, and these are the all-important rules and information to expect for it. The Neil Potter Shield returns for season 21 over the final weeks of the season. The top 4 teams in the final league table qualify for this competition. The league winners get to choose their opponents for the semi-finals, which can be either the team that finished second, third or fourth in the final table. The league winners also get the choice of whether they race the first leg at home or away. The remaining two teams meet in the other semi-final, with the highest ranked team in the league table choosing whether to race at home or away in the first leg. The two semi-final winners then meet in the grand final, with the highest ranked team in the league table getting to choose whether to race the first leg at home or away. In the event of a tie on aggregate, we will move on to a super heat, where each captain will nominate 2 riders in an additional heat. The scoring for this heat is 4-3-2-0, with the highest scoring team in this heat being declared the winners. The green sheets after 10 matches will be used to decide the riding order for the Neil Potter Shield. There is no tactical substitutes are allowed in this competition, just like the Knockout Cup. The captains will get asked after this week's final fixtures who they will be picking and if they'll be home or away in the first leg or not. So there's plenty more decided even after this week. Now we move on to the Wolves signing. Now back on the 7th of October, Cutty 83 stepped down from the Wolves team, and since then Bewitcher hasn't replaced him until now. They have given themselves every hope of reaching the Neil Potter Shield, with the returning ex-Wolves captain Sizzler replacing Hutty 83. It's quite a U-turn, an unusual turn of events to see a rider leave a team and then return in the same season. But with this signing means Wolves are strengthened their top end and gives them an added advantage and incentive to get into the Neil Potter Shield. We now look ahead to the final week of league fixtures of the league before we go into the Neil Potter Shield competition. First up on Sunday the 18th of January at 8:30 p.m. is King's Lynn Storm versus Hastings Dragons. A win for Dragons puts pressure on Spartans to win their meeting for the title, but if they don't win this meeting for the Dragons means Spartans are league champions before they turn a wheel. Storm will be looking to get a moral boosted win ahead of the Neil Potter Shield. Score prediction wise, I can only see right now an away win realistically, so I'll go with a 16-point win for the Dragons. As what are your thoughts and score predictions for this meeting?
Hopefully it'll be a bit closer than that one, so we don't have to worry too much about our own meeting. But yeah, I think this will be closer than what people think. I think the Storm will be up for this, especially at being at home against Dragons. I know they'll want to stop Dragons from having any chance of winning the league. I think I am going to go for a Dragons win, but only by, I'd say, between 6-8 points.
And Chaz, as a Storm rider, what are your thoughts on the meeting, and are you going to finish the league on a high with a win?
Oh, good question. We've got some availability issues. We only team to take a point off the Dragons at Hastings this season. If I say too much, I'll be accused again of being anti-Dragons, which I'm not. We want to obviously finish the league season off on a high. We've got absolutely battered at home by Wolves in our last home meeting, so confidence isn't that high. We'll certainly give it our best. Here we can cobble together 6 riders and give the Dragons a good match. All I can say, really. I can't really say until I know who's riding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect Wolfie to be there, seeing he doesn't do away meetings.
Next up for next week, we also have on Monday the 19th of January at 8:30, and it's the Ellesmere Port Panthers and the Peterborough Spartans. This one is as simple as Panthers need all 3 points against a strong Spartans outfit and hope the Wolves slip up against Cowboys. Obviously that task is made harder with a returning Sizzler to Wolves, while Spartans just need to draw to clinch the title on the night if Dragons have won the night before, and the title race will be over. Shaz, I'll come to you first. What are your thoughts on the meeting and a score prediction?
Yeah, Ellesmere Port, from memory, from rode there a long time ago, not that dissimilar to Peterborough. So I should think the Spartans will find this track quite comfortable to race on. I think they they absolutely battered the Panthers here. I think, was it in the cup? The race here in the cup? I think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you actually battered them here, didn't you? So I can't see any different now with Spartans on a high. Obviously, they'll know what they have to do after the meeting at King's Lynn the previous evening. So they could have basically won the league already. So a relaxed Spartans might be easier to race against, knowing they've already won the league. But I can't see anything more than a heavy away win here. So to give a score prediction, I'd say double figures, maybe 10, 12-point win, probably more. Definitely not less. I can't see the Panthers getting anything here, to be honest with you. Much as I'd like a close end to the season, I think the Spartans are too confident at the moment, and momentum's a big thing in this game, as we know. I mean, being picky, but a lot of these riders wouldn't have as high average as they would have if they weren't with Stefan. I think Stefan's the key in this team. He knows the lines. He shows everyone's the lines. There's lines that I mean they stick to the lines like glue. So I think the Spartans will win this one quite easily. Keep your averages high for next season, boys.
And Hads, as I'll be facing you, I think it's safe to say your favourites this meeting. Looking forward to the meeting and think you'll get the job done on the night.
Yeah, hoping to. Yeah, I know we won. I think it was 30 points in the knockout cup. I think we won by, but that was right at the start of the season. So obviously that's gone, and we need to get dialed back in again onto the track, which hopefully won't take us too long. But I think we do have actually a full squad as well to choose from, if I'm serving right. So hopefully we can turn up and do the business. But obviously it's not going to be easy, especially with Mareki, Cappy. We know how good they are at home, especially as well Skyrider if he's riding, and we know we like to do a bit of blocking on Stefan as well, Tank. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'll try my best. And I've got to equal, well, not at least at Peterborough, but I'll beat Stefan again one more time. And then finally, the final fixture to conclude the league campaign is on Thursday, the 22nd of January at 8 p.m, which sees Milton Keynes Cowboys versus the Wolverhampton Wolves. Cowboys will be looking for consolation points and to end their season on a high, whilst Wolves will be looking to win all out to get into the Neil Potter Shield, and with the recent re-addition of Sister back in the team, it's put the odds in their favour. I'm going to go with a comfortable win for the Wolves and go with a 25-point win. Love to see an upset in general, and also with my Panthers helmet on too, but realistically it seems, unless Cowboys spark a surprise, it seems one-way traffic in this one. As what do you think will happen in this meeting, and a score prediction too?
I'd like to see Cowboys win, being honest, because no one likes to see a team go through the season having not won a match. With the riders there on paper, they definitely got it in them. But obviously, it's availability and form. At the moment, there's not a lot of that. Bobby and Speedy haven't had that much backup, to be honest, most of the season. So also, I think Limo has maybe someone said he was moving, or might be unavailable. He's moving house, or he's doing something. So I mean, even without Limo, I think that Wolves team there is still strong enough to go and get the points at Cowboys. So I'll predict a 10-point Wolves win.
Yeah, and Chaz, which way do you see this one going, and a score prediction also?
Yeah, Wolves win for me. Wolves are good form at the moment. Most of their riders are in really good form. It's not tracks are pretty similar, I'd say. Not exactly the same, but a lot of diving in and drifting out, which should probably suit the Wolves team. Cowboys have had an awful season, especially at home, and I can't see this changing, to be honest with you. Cowboys notoriously as well have trouble with availability all season, so they'll be probably looking for guests or rider replacement. But I can only see Wolves winning this one quite handily, maybe 8 to 10 points.
They've also had trouble getting the right line on the home track as well, Cowboys. So
Well, yeah, I think they sort of worked it out after the first week when they got absolutely roasted, didn't they?
yeah, pretty much.
That was by Wolves as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was, yeah.
yeah.
As always, we like to promote our social media platforms and the links to them. In the absence of Chess this week, I shall fill in. So if you like what you hear, see, and enjoying your racing, and to keep up to date with all media releases, then make sure to like, share and comment on all social media you're on, and the social media we're on are Facebook and Twitter, and we also have the website, the forum, as well as our dedicated Discord where all the up-to-date information and announcements are, and the all-important YouTube channel which is updated with podcasts like you're doing tonight, and also the meeting highlights from every meeting this season, whether it's the League, Grand Prix Series, the SCS. And on next week's show, we have Week 21 reviews, Chaz Rider of the Week. We have the full preview of the BGP and the SCS Round 7 at Melbourne. We shall also be having the BLRC track draw, so you shall find out what track you shall be riding in 2 weeks' time. For the, I believe it's the top 2 from each team and the next 4 generally, but more on that next week's show. So make sure you tune in for that. So we have now reached the end of another episode, and it just leaves me just to say a good night to Hadlington83.
Good night, Tank. Good night, everyone.
And a good night to Shaz.
Good night, fellas. Stay safe, boys.
And it's a good night from myself, Steve, and this has been episode 90 of the All 4 Back podcast, and we shall see you again next week for episode 91. Until then, good night, and thank you for watching and listening.